Hello friends! Even after observing cats for just a short time, you'll understand that they are very intelligent creatures. But just how smart are they? A man named Joe Kerrigan lives in a small town in the southern United States. He owns a shop where he sells fish. One day, a stray cat started coming to his store. At first glance, it was just an ordinary tabby. But there was something remarkable about it. It had a dry leaf in its mouth. At first, Joe didn't understand why the cat brought a leaf to his shop. Nevertheless, such behavior of the cat brought a smile to Joe's face, and when the cat started coming back with a leaf every day, the man realized that the animal was bringing him the leaf for a reason. Perhaps the cat had noticed that people paid with money for their purchases in the fish shop and decided that if he brought something resembling a banknote, it could get food in return. Every day, the cat came back to the shop and brought beautiful leaves as payment for the fish. Joe captured several videos of this unusual customer and shared them on social media. I had no choice but to accept the leaf as payment for the fish. I wanted to believe that only this cat would try and use such an unusual payment method in my shop, the shop owner wrote. Some of Joe's followers shared stories of similar behavior by other cats. These animals often seem to think that leaves are money. For example, one cat owner mentioned that their pet uses the same method of payment to get treats every day. Have you ever encountered such behavior in cats? Let us know in the comments. Here's another equally amazing story about a clever and crafty little cat. It was shared on social media by BBC correspondent Anissa Subedar. Anissa shared that about a year and a half ago, she heard melodious meowing behind her kitchen door and saw two huge glowing eyes. It was a British short-hair cat. The cat didn't move away when she approached him. Moreover, when she bent down to pet him, the cat didn't object. He clearly enjoyed being stroked on the head. The cat rolled onto his back and purred loudly with pleasure. As a thank you for the friendly gesture, the woman opened a can of tuna, which the cat immediately devoured. That evening, the woman didn't think much about the incident, except that it was a sweet summer encounter. She did a nice thing by feeding the cat, and the animal seemed to have enjoyed it too. However, a few days later, the cat returned, and Anissa greeted him like an old friend whom she hadn't seen in a long time. She fed the cat again, and he disappeared, just like the last time. Soon, the cat started coming by every day. He even started coming inside the house, napping on her couch, and didn't mind spending the whole night indoors. Anissa wrote that her evenings became very sweet. All the stress of the day melted away when she watched TV with the cat curled up on the couch. The woman didn't even want to think about the fact that the cat probably had an owner. A couple of months later, the woman bought a bed and a couple of bowls for the cat. Whenever she found cat hair on her clothes, she smiled in anticipation of the evening. Anissa started posting photos of the cat on social media. Her colleagues noticed it and started asking her about her new pet. She answered the questions as if the cat was really hers, refusing to acknowledge the fact that she was a catnapper. However, every time she posted yet another picture of the cat, one of her colleagues would comment, "This isn't your cat." You've probably heard the saying, "You don't choose the cat chooses you." But what do you do when the cat that chooses you already belongs to someone else? What if it already has an owner? Apparently, this situation isn't all that uncommon. People enjoy all the benefits of having a cat without the corresponding responsibilities. There are numerous pictures and videos on social media featuring people and cats who don't officially belong to them. So is this normal? Cat behaviorist Celia Haddon says, "I believe that cats live by their own rules. I don't think they consciously decide, I'm going to use this person for my own purposes. It's much simpler. When they find a place where they get fed, where a friendly person pets them, they simply try and stay there." These animals have one characteristic trait. They are extremely persistent. If a cat can sit motionless by a mouse hole for hours when hunting, it will sit by a door for hours if it wants to come in. But that wasn't the end of Anissa's story. Over time, she started feeling another emotion: guilt. She regularly looked through the local websites for missing cat ads. hoping to find a plea for help from the cat's owner. But she never found anything. And then it all ended just as suddenly as it began. The cat disappeared. She waited for him day and night, out to the empty garden behind the house, and called out for the cat, but all in vain. Anissa felt abandoned and turned to the internet yet again. This time, she was looking for any news about the cat. After all, she believed that the only plausible reason for the cat's disappearance could be that something tragic happened to him. Anissa thought that perhaps he got run over by a car and might be lying somewhere in a roadside ditch. There was no news of a cat being hit by a car. Anissa looked sadly at the empty bed where he used to sleep so sweetly, at the untouched food in his bowl, and at the few remaining cat hairs on her clothes. And then the woman saw her neighbor, and they struck up a conversation through the garden hedge. Anissa mentioned the cat, and the neighbor told her that the owners of the cat had moved away. So he did have an owner after all. At first, the woman felt relieved, but then she felt betrayed. How could they just take the cat and move him away? Anissa wasn't about to give up so easily. She couldn't imagine that the cat, who had been so happy with her, could be just as happy with his owner in a new home far away. Through real estate agents, Anissa found the email address of the cat's owner. She wrote to him explaining that she and the cat had lived together for quite a while and offered that if the cat didn't settle well in his new place, she could take him in as a permanent resident. As Anissa wrote the letter, she thought that she and the cat were meant for each other, and their friendship was interrupted without their approval. The reply didn't take long to arrive. The owner's name was David. David had 2 cats, Henry and Eddie. The latter often disappeared for a few days. They had moved to Lincolnshire, he wrote, which was about 120 miles from Anissa. The cats like the semi-rural lifestyle here. They're happy, and they're glad to have us around all day now, he added. And of course, we're not going to part with either one of them. He also suggested that Anissa get her own cat. Our cats are purebred British Shorthairs. You can find a breeder. These cats are charming. However, Anissa couldn't even think about getting a different cat. She believed that Eddie had chosen her. In her next email to David, she shared the details of her role in Eddie's disappearances. She was feeling very guilty. David responded that Eddie's disappearances are horribly distressing for the family. We didn't know what to think, whether he got hit by a car, or he got stolen, or trapped somewhere and couldn't get out. Or maybe he was just off on an adventure, he wrote. We knew Eddie might not come home for a day or more. Usually, it coincided with us leaving for a few days. In those cases, he would arrange for a friend to come feed and play with the cats. But often, Eddie wouldn't be home when we returned. Actually, every time that happened, we couldn't help but wonder, will we see him again? We had almost decided not to leave anywhere at all. He also wrote that it was one thing to play with a cat that came into your garden, and quite another thing to feed him. He strongly advised against the latter. Now, Anissa understood how wrong she was. Have you ever been in a similar situation? Some time passed and the woman decided to get a kitten. A 12-week-old British Shorthair. His fur was the color of a latte, and she named him Horace. Anissa Subadar wrote on her page, I have no plans to share Horace with anyone. But now I know that it doesn't depend entirely on me. So, if you see Horace at your doorstep, you know what to do. And that's all for today, friends. Do you think cats are actually very smart? Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.